Eagle Vision TV.
Yeah, you talking loud. Got a whole lot of words falling out. Yeah, run your mouth. Take your hold, deeper go, baby, go and show yourself. Play your game, I'll be patiently waiting till time runs out. Getting close now. All the stories that you tell with a beautiful imagination. Tell them about where you've been, who you're with, yeah, okay then. You go ahead and
Welcome to Eagle Vision for Wednesday, February 14th, 2024. I'm Ethan, and today's top story highlights the basketball team as we prepare for the playoffs this weekend.
Eagle fans, don't forget, Saturday, 6 o'clock p.m., we take on Clinton, the Clinton Arrows, in the first round of the playoffs. It's going to be here at Horn Lake High School. We're promoting the whiteout, so get your white attire. Come on out to support. Whiteout, fly Eagles fly. Let's get it.
Don't forget, the game will be this Saturday at 6 p.m., right here at Horn Lake High. The DECA program is heading to Vicksburg for the state evaluation. We sat down with several students to get to talk about the process.
The last week, the DECA students took a 100-question test. We have an hour and a half to do so. We have 5 tests based off of the event that we're all taking. Every student, we're all just in Miss class taking our test and seeing what we're going to do.
The test consists of 100 questions based on your category. It's a big cluster exam based on just everything in general. So if you're in a business heavy category, your cluster exam is going to be like business administration. And so all the questions are kind of based off of that and around that.
So to get to the next level, we have to place above 6th place at district, and to continue to go to state, we have to get above a 40, and if we don't get that, then we won't be able to compete.
Luckily we've had a lot of students who are able to reach this milestone with our test. So from February 26th to the 28th, we'll be going to state competition down in Vicksburg.
At state competition, you compete during the second part of what the competition process is like in DECA. You do the role play event, and that is kind of what gives you your place, first, second, third. And anybody who places first, second, or third at state in their event goes on to ICDC, which will be in Anaheim, California.
So the easiest way we explain a role play is kind of like a Shark Tank deal. You're just kind of in front of a judge. You tell them what your scenario is. So there's many times where you may have to take the role of a manager or a salesperson, and whatever your specific prompt may be, whether it be like an ethical issue or a bigger dilemma within a company, you just kind of got to be able to solve it and present this situation to your judge.
All right, welcome to another episode of Choose a Career. Today I'm here with Joel from Medtronics. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and he is an engineer. Now tell us a little bit, first of all, about your company and what you all do.
So Medtronics is a very large company that deals with a lot of medical different products. A lot of people know us from our diabetes monitors, if people who have diabetes, other things like heart monitors, elements like that. Even more concerning areas like Parkinson's, we have deep brain stimulation. My particular area of engineering is spinal injury, so I design spinal implants.
Okay, you are talking about, if we're talking about engineers in general, there are a whole host of different fields for engineers. Why don't you just briefly touch on the multiple things that an engineer has to work on?
Yeah, so you can be the number of different traditional roles as engineering. One of them is mechanical, which is me. Mechanical, like things that move, right? I love things with motors, engines. I don't care if it's a hot rod. I don't care if it's a string trimmer. If it has a motor in it, I'm interested. You can do things like dishwashers, or winches for a truck would be an element in mechanical engineering. Or you can be in electrical. Electrical would be things like your phone, computers, wiring a house. How do you figure out these circuits and the breaker systems to securely wire a house, right? You have to have it not only there, but it also has to be secure. Other areas are civil. These are the top three: mechanical, electrical, and civil. Civil are buildings, structures, bridges, roads.
Draining those roads.
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell us, I'm assuming with so many diverse directions for engineering that the pay scales are kind of all over the place, depending on where you work and what type of field you're working in. If a student is interested in being an engineer, the first step would be to choose what direction you're wanting to go in.
Yes. So like pay scales, like starting salary for mechanical engineers, I think out of the University of Memphis right now is somewhere in the mid 70s.
Okay.
So and a lot of those areas are pretty similar. You could get into the specialized areas like petroleum engineering, which is going to be higher, nuclear engineering, which is also higher. So there's other areas that you could be involved with, but you could also take some of those areas and then specialize like quality engineering. Quality engineers don't usually make quite as much as like a design engineer.
Right.
But if that's your skill set, you want to operate on your skill set more than the money, right?
Right.
Because you're going to be happy. And the first question I always ask recent grads, and I always say, what is it that you like? And operate your career path based upon what you like. If you don't like it, who wants to go to work in the morning, right? So first of all, find out what it is you like. Then take the skill sets you have and the academic knowledge and capabilities you have and marry them together and look at a career based upon those three aspects, that triangle, to create a path for yourself and
That's
get some counseling.
Some great advice. Now, you said there's 3 areas of engineering. I'm assuming each of those areas requires a different degree. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so those would be the standard degrees you'd get at, say, Ole Miss or University of Mississippi, and those would be the mechanical, the electrical, or the civil are your top traditional 3, and then they have specialties off of that.
For students in the Mississippi or the Mid-South area, throw out a couple of schools that are going to be good for specializing in those areas.
Well, I think Ole Miss and University of Mississippi are both excellent. I think Mississippi State has a little higher expectation and is a little more central but it's a little more emphasis. University of Memphis has a strong engineering school. If you want to go from beyond that, you could go to anything you want, Princeton or Stanford or MIT. Any of these other schools, but those schools are very strong here.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about your company and what y'all offer for students who might want to get into the engineering field?
So right now, what we do offer is an opportunity to come in and do some training in college. So after your sophomore year, we could bring you in for a summer or a whole semester and help train you and help give you experience in different aspects, which would help you make a decision later on which direction and the different things. It makes you more prepared once you've walked in and you've seen these different things. So you can say, "Wow, boy, I really like the opportunity I saw in quality," or "I like the opportunity I saw in manufacturing. I love taking it and actually making the piece of metal from doing the manufacturing." Or in quality, I love inspecting to make sure that the part is truly what it is, right? We have to not only make the part right, we have to make the right part. So you have to make the purpose of the thing correct, but it also has to be made correctly. Well, in terms of engineering, it's so broad, and you have to give a lot of different things perspective. And the advice I like to give students is start interviewing people. I was a very poor student in my first couple years. I didn't even know what the word the letters GPA meant until the end of my junior year, and so I started engaging in this process very late. And I instantly fell in love with the biomedical field. And because I fell in love with it, there's very few of us, you know, in the United States. And so I had to find a person that did this. And so I asked my parents, hey, do you know any engineers that I can kind of get to? And they really didn't know anybody. So I said, do you have a friend that has a friend?
Right.
And so I started working through this channel. And finally I found an engineer in the field that I was interested in. And I said, hey, listen, I want to talk to a recent grad, someone that's been out 2 or 3 years, and I want to have lunch with them. You know, I'll buy them lunch. If you offer to buy anybody lunch, they're going to go to lunch with you, right? I mean, I'll buy your lunch. It's going to cost you $20, right?
Right.
It's the best $20 you will ever spend in your life. And go and take that person out to lunch. Go to Google. What's the 10 best interview questions? And I ask them simple questions. What do you do during the day? What do you like most? What do you not like about your job? What is it that you now do that you had no anticipation that you would have done from someone from my age when you were in my shoes? What is it that, you know, I could learn from your daily experience from being an outsider? You know, what is the attitude and the perspective and the personality that does best in your, what are the skill sets, you know, and it varies by these different engineering professions, right? A quality engineer has a different personality than a development engineer. A development engineer is more artistic, you know, the idea of developing patents is maybe really important. I want to develop a patent. I want my name recognized. Or maybe like in civil engineering, if you go into any building, you'll see a plaque and it'll have the civil engineer's name on the plaque. And so maybe for you, one of the most important thing is just connecting with your community. And you want to make a lasting impact on my community. And maybe that's an area that really interests you and will excite you in the future.
Students, if you're interested in being an engineer, you can go to the counseling complex or you can visit our career coach in the library.
The Selma to Montgomery marches, which were also known as Bloody Sunday 1965, were 3 protest marches held in 1965 along the 54-mile highway from Selma, Alabama to the state capital of Montgomery. The marches were organized by nonviolent activists to demonstrate the desire of African American citizens to exercise their constitutional right to vote in defiance of the segregationist repression. They were part of a broader voting rights movement underway in Selma and throughout the American South. By highlighting racial injustice, they contributed to passage that year of the Voting Rights Act, a landmark federal achievement of the civil rights movement. The African American group known as the Dallas County Voters League launched a voter registration campaign in Selma in 1963. Joined by organizers from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, they began working that year in a renewed effort to register black voters. Finding resistance by white officials to be intractable, even after the Civil Rights Act of 1964 ended legal segregation, the DCVL invited Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and the activists of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to join them. On February 26, 1965, activist and Deacon Jimmy Lee Jackson died after being shot several days earlier by State Trooper James Bernard Fowler during a peaceful march in nearby Marion, Alabama. To diffuse and refocus the community's outrage, James Bevel, who was directing SCLC's Selma voting rights movement, called for a march of dramatic length from Selma to the state capital of Montgomery. Bevel had been working on his Alabama project for voting rights since late 1963. This march resulted in the speech, The American Promise, delivered by Lyndon B. Johnson, and the speech, How Long, Not Long, delivered by Martin Luther King Jr. at the Alabama State Capitol. This week's feature vocabulary words are impervious, incendiary, and incompetent. Impervious, unable to be affected by. Incendiary, tending to stir up conflict, designed to cause fires. Incompetent, not having or showing the necessary skills to do something successfully.
Good morning, seniors. We have another important date coming up for you. February 22nd, Get to College will be in the library and they will help you with all things FAFSA. So if you need help with your FAFSA ID, they can help with that. If you want to do your FAFSA application, you can do that. You will need a parent available by phone in order to do the FAFSA application, and you have to have your FAFSA IDs done at least 3 days ahead of time, okay? There was some information that went out on the band app and to your parents with more details. If you have questions about which parent needs to do the FAFSA ID, I'd be happy to talk to you and work that through. You can drop in on the February 22nd at any time. If your parent has a break time or a lunch time that they want to be available for doing the FAFSA application, you can sign up in the counseling office for a specific time. So check with your parents. If you need to make an appointment at a specific time, go ahead and do that in the counseling office. Otherwise, you're welcome to drop in the library anytime on February 22nd. Again, the FAFSA is what you need. It's the free application for federal student aid, and it's what colleges use in order to create your financial aid package. So if you want some free money, like grants and scholarships, you need to go through this process.
Check out our YouTube channel for clips you won't see here on the show. Head to hornlakehigh.com to subscribe. That's it for today's episode. Here at Horn Lake, we're better students, always growing and expecting more. Stay tuned for your lunch menus and athletic schedules. And we'll see you here tomorrow. Have a fantastic day.
Got a whole lot of words falling out, yeah, run your mouth. Take your whole deeper go, baby, go and show yourself. Play your game, I'll be patiently waiting until time runs out. Getting close now. All the stories that you tell, what a beautiful imagination. And you should have told about where you've been, who you're with, yeah, okay then. You go ahead and why don't you give it up? What's your name? Is it love? Just a phase? No, I'll keep it up. You were at your mother's, your brother's, whatever. I've had enough, but I guess I'll let you finish up. All the stories that you tell, what a beautiful imagination. And you should've told them about where you've been, who you're with, yeah, okay then. Go ahead and excuse me, one more before I walk away.